What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Hard Carry Podcast. We're here today, solo, just here wanting to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the CDL world with ROSTERMANIA as it comes to post the World Championships. Now, as you guys may or may not know, the New York Subliners won the World Championship a couple weeks ago. Congratulations to them, playing very, very well all weekend and absolutely killing it, especially guys like Kismet and Hydra absolutely destroying. But now we have what we like to call ROSTERMANIA in the Call of Duty world. And now even the world champions are looking to make a change at their roster, which most years, especially the last few years, like last year with the LA Thieves winning the World Championship, they didn't change their lineup. They didn't change their roster at all. Atlanta FaZe, when they won the World Championship, they didn't change their lineup at all. But if you look here, right next to me, SIB is set to replace PRIESTAHH on the New York Subliners. And New York and PRIESTAHH failed to reach an agreement on a contract per Jake Hale. Remember, this is still all speculation. None of these rosters are actually finalized yet, but I did want to get some of this news out to you guys before it got too far down the road and you guys just absolutely have zero information as to what's going on out there in the Call of Duty League world. Now, we had quite a few retirements this year, if you let it look. Obviously, Octane a couple weeks ago coming out and retiring. Scump and Methods mid-year retiring. Scump, obviously, the big one, retiring for OPTIC Texas, and then Methods also retiring for Boston Breach. And then joining OPTIC Texas as a content creator, Zero, Trey Zero, one of the best EU players out there in the history of the CDL, has announced his retirement. So we just want to thank Zero, Trey Zero. He's one of my favorite players over on the London side. Parasite, Pander, and Mox also announcing their retirements. Parasite's been looking to be a coach for a little while now. Some players never officially renounced retirement, but played in league challenger matches and haven't played in over a year, like General, I think. Cheen, obviously, a big one last year. Obviously, a big name in the Call of Duty League world. And then Crim6 was the huge one in the last year's retirements. So, very interesting stuff here from the retirement side of the Call of Duty League world, which leaves us with a few things. We're going to start with our favorite team, OPTIC Texas. Right now, we definitely know that Shotzi and Dashi are staying. That's a definite. They are pretty much guaranteed the signing of Pred, the superstar from the Seattle Surge, Australian player. Great pickup for the OPTIC Texas team. Their fourth, though, has been a little bit of a matter of discussion as we look down here on Breaking Point, which a lot of this information here we're going to be giving you guys on Breaking Point. Most times if it comes up on Breaking Point, that's what's going to happen. They're saying that Kenny from the LA Thieves could be our OPTIC Texas fourth player on the roster, which I really like. OPTIC really needs a little bit of leadership in that young roster with Dashi, Shotzi, and Pred. So I think Kenny coming in might be a really good pickup for them. They were also targeting Draza, but I think if we go down just a little bit farther, Draza has actually picked the Atlanta FaZe trio after they dropped Slasher over the OPTIC Texas Yeah, see, look, and then Draza signed the "It's official" tweet. But we believe that Draza wants to go to the Atlanta Phase trio of Celium, Abizi, and Simp. So, very interesting turn of events out of that, as Draza apparently turning down the Optic Texas, basically the offer that they gave him for being their fourth. It seems like Draza, who I think wants to kind of keep his. See, look, this is the four right here. Holy super team. Draza kind of wants to keep his villainous role going, as the Atlanta Phase are kind of playing the villains this in the past few years, and Draza, the biggest villain outside of Atlanta Phase, now wanting to join. As you can see here, Draza wants to join Atlanta Phase per Jake Hale. Pretty crazy stuff. But one thing I do want to talk about with the movement of Draza and the movement of Kenny and the retirement of Octane is, what the hell are the LA Thieves going to do? LA Thieves are down to literally nobody left on their roster, as Envoy, I believe, is rumored to want to go right here to the Toronto Ultra. These are the rumored duos for next season. We got Kleenex and Envoy, Shotzi and Pred, Kismet, Hydra, and then Simp and Abizi, of course. With Envoy going to Toronto, which I want to talk about Toronto here in just a second, what are the LA Thieves going to do? My thoughts initially were that they would build around Kenny. And that's what I thought that the LA Thieves were going to do, until we now hear that Optic Texas want to pick up Kenny. And now I believe Kenny might have a buyout, so at least the LA Thieves will get somewhat of a salary bump or some money to pay some players. But who do they get? Apparently there's a rumored team of 4 out there that is it's got Hook, Illy, Big Wake, and Standy. And what team that team of 4 goes to could end up being the LA Thieves. As the LA Thieves still want to be somewhat competitive in the CDL world now, and their team is being picked apart by pretty much the 3 biggest teams out there, as Optic get 1, FaZe get 1, and Toronto get 1, and then Octane retires. So very interesting to see what the LA Thieves are going to do coming forward. I think they're going to be one of the later teams to announce what their roster is going to be, but we shall see exactly what they have to do. Here's Pred saying that he has signed, I believe. Let's give that a listen to.
Can't say what color. Can't say anything. No, I'm not saying like there's gonna be an announcement in 2 hours. I'm saying that I'll be putting the pen to the paper most likely within that time frame. That
Okay, so that's Pred pretty much saying that he's putting pen to paper. Pretty sure he is being signed by the Optic Texas roster. So we shall see exactly how that goes around. I think they're trying to figure out who their 4th is going to be before they figure it out. But Seattle Surge have definitely parted ways with their whole lineup, as Mac was let go, SIB was let go, Pred was definitely let go, and Accuracy also, as well as some of their coaching staff, has been let go from the Seattle Surge side. Very interesting. That team of four with Hook and Big Wake is one I was thinking. It was either going to be like the LA Thieves or Seattle Surge, possibly Rocker. Because unsure what those three teams are going to be doing yet. I think they're trying to figure out how all this shakes out with the top teams before it's all said and done. One thing we haven't heard a lot about is the Toronto Ultra camp. They're definitely keeping scrappy. I think they were taking some offers from teams to possibly get scrappy, but I highly, highly doubt that they are going to be taking any kind of follow up on those offers because scrappy is just too valuable to let go. And then the only rumor that they have had besides scrappy is the Envoy thing. But I also heard they were trying to sell Kleenex and Insight to get a guy like Envoy. So I don't know what that means for that total team. If it means Kleenex and Insight are going to stay there, or if that means they have to totally sell those two guys to get a guy like Envoy. But we will see when that time comes. We're going to be keeping you guys updated, trying to do one of these at least once every couple weeks as the time goes by, besides giving you guys my Diablo 4 content and junk to keep you guys updated on the possible rumors and rostermania that goes on in the postseason. Like I said, we had Minnesota Rocker completely blowing it up. I don't know exactly what they're going to do. One thing we do kind of have a little bit of information on is the Florida Mutineers roster. They are, I believe, rebranding to the Miami Heretics and going to be keeping Vickle and getting an all Spanish roster, which I believe is Journey, Metals, and Eric Boom. Which would be a very, very interesting roster as those guys were doing very well in the Challenger scene. So we shall see how those Challengers guys stack up against the rest of the league as they come basically as a full squad plus minus Vickle to the Call of Duty League world. I think they're going to be keeping the Florida Mutineers branding. I just saw a video on Tactical Rab today about the Miami Heretics branding has officially ran dry. So I don't know what exactly they're going to be called, but do look out for this all Spanish team going forward in Rostermania. A couple other few things here for different teams. The Los Angeles Guerrillas, they're still trying to sell that spot, I believe, but I think they still have Arcides and Spart on their payroll. It was initially rumored that Arcides and Illy were going to be a duo going forward into Rostermania, but it now has come out recently that this team of four has formed with Big Wake, Illy, and Hook and Standy without Arcides. So maybe that team was going to be going to LAG and now they are not. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one all shakes out. The Boston Breach. We have had a couple of confirms for their roster. I believe they have kept Snoopy and Beans and Kremp. They released Big Wake, Vivid, and Nero, and I believe they're hoping to land Clayster. I think that they also maybe have been trying to get Dan Ghosty, the OPTIC fourth that got dropped. So Boston's still trying to feel out. I think them with Clayster would be really interesting because they kind of had that leadership role cemented with Methods before Methods retired, but then after Methods retired, it seems like they kind of fell out a little bit when it comes to like a good leadership role, having a good solid foundation of good fundamentally good COD play, and they just were just going out there and just trying to fry and slay. So I think if they were able to land someone like Clayster, they would be definitely a step forward in their evolution for the Boston Breach to try to get them to be a championship squad. New York Subliners, we already talked about them possibly getting SIB for PRIESTAHH, as PRIESTAHH's contract talks kind of falling through at the moment. So we shall see. We haven't heard anything out of the London side except for obviously Zero retiring. I believe they let go of Nasty and Asim and Paul X and all them. So I don't know exactly what kind of route the London Royal Ravens are going to go. Maybe they try to form an all EU roster, which they have definitely done in the past. Maybe someone like Afro ends up going back to London, as Afro played there last year in Vanguard, and I believe he also played there the year before in Cold War a little bit at the end of the year. So those are some of the things I expect to see out of those guys. Vegas probably just formed their roster as a last resort pick'ems thing. Let's take a look at some of these things I've seen. We had a video on Dexerto of apparently a kid who had spent $45,000 of his parents' money, and they beat the shit out of him right there live at LAN. Just beat his ass clean off. Whoop that ass. Damn. Apparently, it says videos from 2019. It's not implied anywhere that the kid spent his parents' life savings. However, by many sources, he was physically abused for playing video games instead of studying. Who knows the exact implications of that video? I just thought it was interesting. Imagine if Scump were to come back and run Flex for Atlanta FaZe. This was, I believe... No, this was today. Wow. I thought it was maybe before they figured out if they were going to get Draza. Maybe Atlanta FaZe reached out to Scump to see if maybe he would play. Who knows? From a guy like Jacob Hale, you never know, because he's supposed to be the Rostermania dude. This was kind of interesting. I found this video. Kenny apparently hated Envoy before they teamed and became world champions. Let's check that out.
I feel like with me and Dill, before we teamed, we actually we didn't like each other for the longest time because we teamed on Justice, and I had a lot of hate towards Dill.
Oh, you did? I forgot about that.
I didn't have a lot of hate. Obviously, I just had this mindset that Dill costed me an AW because he did play really bad. Respectfully, he did, and we even joke about it all the time. And so I feel like whenever he became a free agent, I DM'd him. I'm like, yo, pull up. And so me and him developed a relationship over time that I feel like I cherish very highly. And I feel like obviously me and Sam. I mean, you were there, Chris, for most of the time with me and Sam, and
assuming nothing's changed, yeah.
yeah. I love Sam, and I'm super sad that obviously he has to go. But yeah, I mean, overall, I love the team. I'm really glad I got to have this team because it was one of the teams that for me mentally wasn't draining, was fun to play with, had a good practice environment, and we were a unit. And I feel like with me and Dill,
vibes were high apparently in the LA Thieves camp before disbanding and completely being picked apart by the top teams. Apparently there was a Scump versus Nick Merckx thing this weekend. I believe Nick Merckx kind of wiped the floor with him, but Scump had some pretty good moments here as he fights Nick Merckx in a UFC game. Check it out.
Oh my goodness, Scump! Dude, he's mixing it up. He's going to the head. He hurts him, he goes to the body, then he's back up to the head. That is it! Let's go! And you hear the pop off from Scump.
As Scump knocked out Nick Merckx. And then last but not least, we have a pretty cool montage of Pamaj, who just joined Optic Gaming back as a content creator. I love this guy. Let's check this out.
This clip also demonic. Yup. in such a crazy spot too on the helipad, walking up the helipad, ridiculous. Oh,
I love Pomage.
Yeah,
He's
man.
beast.
This one is the dopamine that rushed to my skull after hitting this, unlike no other. Got the homie Exodus there.
Oh,
the homie
that was
Jets.
nasty.
I'm just holding it down. I don't know what made me just decide to go for the head, but hey.
Oh, that was a collapse.
The crazy part is, like,
Double
honestly,
kill
if I
at the
look
end.
back now, that clip probably should have been the closer to, like, the Catalyst 2.
Yeah, but thank you guys so much for coming in and checking out my little solo podcast here. We're going to try to keep you guys updated on ROSTERMANIA updates as it goes down the line. Thank you guys so much. Keep tuning in to the channel for more updates and news.